When Two Poets Fall in Love Part 1 by Glenn McCrary. It was yet another dark and gloomy Sunday afternoon. On the last day of February, spring would be approaching soon. However, in a small and lonely corner from across the room, a young man named Gage was writing poetry to heal his wounds. For Gage, poetry was the only thing that gave him peace, his own personal getaway, his escape, his release. In Gage's eyes, it wasn't a hobby, but more of a vivid passion. And for his words in his notebook, he had a deep attraction. Gage rarely fell short of good topics and inspiration, and him and his readers shared mutual relations, extending from the core of very similar situations. This is why he was an icon of great admiration. Then one day, Gage received a message from a beautiful, unfamiliar face, taking him by surprise, causing his heartbeat to race. Gage had not a clue who this lady was just yet, but to him she seemed interesting, so on a quest he set. When Two Poets Fall in Love Part 2 by Glenn McCrary. The message welcomed Gage with words that were so deep, with high levels of affection that were unmistakably sweet. This lady told him her name was Marie, and that she found him on a poetry site, how much she loved his poetry, and how well it related to her life. Gage responded with a friend request, to which she immediately accepted, started communicating with her, gradually as they connected. At first they didn't talk much, but soon that would change. They would send brief messages, though that's not how it would remain. It touched Gage's heart that his work was of great value in Marie's eyes. She always spoke the words of truth, without a single hint of lies. To Marie, Gage was a special person, of whom she was lucky to have found. So they continued getting to know each other, in search of common ground. The ever-blooming love between two hearts was now combining to become one. The sound of them together was like the music of the sun. When Two Poets Fall in Love Part 3 by Glenn McCrary. 2 months later, April had dawned. The bond was growing increasingly strong. Communication between the two of them had officially become routine. Sparks were aimlessly flying, exploding everywhere on the scene. Normally, Marie was a busy lady, but she always made time for Gage. Because Gage made her feel comfortable. With Gage, Marie felt safe. They were falling for each other, and there was no denying. All the signs were in the air. This was not an act of lying. However, Gage was confused with his feelings. He was unsure of what to say. It had been a mighty long time since he had felt this way. He didn't want to be careless with his heart again. Though he found trust in Marie as a friend, it was then that Marie told him that she was a passionate poet as well. She had been writing since September as her way of showcasing personal hell. Gage quickly became addicted to the magic that was Marie's poetry. Her style was unique, a true gem for all eyes to see. When Two Poets Fall in Love Part 4 by Glenn McCrary. For the rest of the month of April, and throughout the month of May, Marie and Gage would write poems together, harmonizing with beautiful wordplay. Nothing could stop them. They made the perfect team. The intensity of their romance was burning, enough to create steam. They understood each other, unlike anybody else. When either of them were depressed, they always tried their best to help. As the summer began to sizzle, and as spring was coming to an end, the way they felt for each other was far too difficult to pretend. It was now the month of June, a time to love and to be free, a season to remember and make special memories. When Two Poets Fall in Love Part 5 by Glenn McCrary. On the 13th of June, Marie and Gage were having yet another joyous conversation. Rich with spontaneity and enthusiasm, floating through their veins with elation. Marie and Gage had been ranting and raving about the stars in the sky, and how the everlasting glow of the moon lit up the entire night. Gage said, "Your spirit shines brighter than the moon." Marie said, "If I'm the moon, then you're the stars." Gage said, "Well, if I'm a star, then you're the star I'm wishing on." And Marie said, "You are my wish." Those four simple words alone had such a heavy impact upon the walls of Gage's soul, as if he had been attacked, bitten by the insect of love in a way that was beneficial to his health. And it was doing his heart justice, a feeling Gage had never felt. When Two Poets Fall in Love, Part 6, by Glenn McCrary. Exactly 1 week later, on the 20th of June, Marie confessed to Gage that she loved him. She had never been so sure of anything else. If so, the chances had been very slim. All along, Gage had secretly felt the same way, but was afraid to confess due to difference in age. Now that Marie had confessed how she felt, Gage figured he'd expose his emotions that were so strong that his body couldn't withstand the commotion. There was really no point in caging a feeling that Gage himself knew, for it was counterproductive to revealing what he had known to be true. All around, the voices were singing from the heavens above. It was now official. Marie and Gage were in love. When Two Poets Fall in Love, Part 7, by Glenn McCrary. Gage asked Marie out on the 2nd of July. Surprisingly, she said yes, with tears of joy in her eyes. Millions of butterflies were fluttering everywhere, as a harmless result of their sacrificial dares. Gage was so happy that he was unaware of his surroundings. His only focus was on Marie, which was actually quite astounding. It was remarkable how quickly that Marie captured his heart. Along with mind, body, and spirit, she had the power to tear him apart. But Gage was just too blind to realize he was just another victim in Marie's eyes, making him just another option that could be edited and revised. And this was not an act of love, nor was it what he signed up for. Turns out these days it's rare to find someone to trust anymore. When Two Poets Fall in Love, Part 8, by Glenn McCrary. Approximately 2 weeks later, Gage awoke to an unexpected message, sitting in his inbox waiting for emotions to be detected. So Gage opened this message, leaving him in a state of fear. They weren't exactly the words that Gage had wanted to hear. Still, he was greatly affected. His heart was torn to shreds. He felt no reason to continue living. Inside, he was already dead. He spent the whole morning crying, drowning in anxiety and depression, mixed with violent mood swings and intense levels of aggression. When Two Poets Fall in Love, Part 9, by Glenn McCrary. Gage grieved heavily over the relationship. It was the greatest thing in his life. He was the happiest he had ever been. The reason it ended, nobody knows why. He could no longer withhold his emotions. Gage cried 1,000 tears of pain. And with each tear that was shed, there was not a damn thing to gain. Gage felt like his heart had been run over by a truck, reducing him to the option of not giving a fuck. When Two Poets Fall in Love, Part 10, by Glenn McCrary. Later in September of that year would be one September he would never forget, because throughout the entire month, he was severely emotional wreck. Gage couldn't breathe, couldn't eat, couldn't think. He tried and tried, but he just couldn't sleep a wink. Although it was hard for him to do, Gage had no choice but to let her go, hoping that she would remember that he loved her very much so.